Kyrie has made the personal choice, and we respect his individual right to choose. Currently, the choice restricts his ability to be a full-time member of the team, and we will not permit any member of our team to participate with part-time availability. Wow, so unless Kyrie gets a shot, just one, it's all he needs, he's not going to be playing for the Brooklyn Nets this year. What?
Bang! Bang! It's over, ladies and gentlemen. Say what again?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new video. Welcome to a new video on my brand new channel. Welcome to J Talks. If this is the first you're ever seeing of me, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate it. And also, let me just say, I've got two other YouTube channels. One where I play a lot of NBA 2K22. The other where I do deep dives on NBA history. Both those linked down below. I would obviously appreciate if you check those out as well. But welcome into the new channel, everybody. We got a banger news item to discuss right off the top, obviously. And that was a comment I just read, and it was made by Sean Marks, Nets GM. The comment was made on Tuesday morning, and it is the most recent update to this wild Kyrie Irving story with the Nets. Now, in case you're new to it, in case you haven't been paying attention, this Kyrie drama, I'll just revisit what we know here a bit. And that is, the Nets opened their media availability a couple weeks back. Kyrie was very vague and basically admitted to not having received vaccination without saying as much, said he wanted to keep it personal, and that's when red flags obviously started to go up. Now, over the summer, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said that all pro athletes gotta have at least one vaccination to play games in the city. Now, basically what that means is for the Knicks, for the Brooklyn Nets, and in addition, the Golden State Warriors in the same situation over in Santa Clara, California. That means if you aren't vaccinated as an NBA player, you can't play in home games, which is 41 games. Actually, for Kyrie and the Nets, it would be 43 considering the games he was scheduled to play in New York against the Knicks. So 43 games Kyrie or any player would have had to sit out for the Nets this year if they don't get at least one shot. Now, obviously, this has been a distraction as training camp, as the season is getting underway. Steve Nash has had to talk about it. The players have had to talk about it. Kevin Durant's been commenting. It seemed like there was some good news when something changed, part of the regulations changed, and Kyrie was actually able to practice. He practiced with the Nets over the weekend, but during that practice, during the media availability, Steve Nash, head coach, said, "I think we recognize he's not playing home games, so we're gonna have to for sure play without him. It just depends when and how much." And when I read those comments a while back, I thought, yeah, this isn't going away. Like, for Steve Nash and for the organization to think to themselves, well, you know, we might have Kyrie for 37, 38 games. Like, that is not a healthy situation. I think everybody could agree on that. And thus we had over the weekend, obviously, the Nets deciding they had to make a decision. They had to figure out what they were going to do with their enigmatic superstar point guard who, you know, apparently isn't vaccinated. And that's when Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN reported that James Harden, Kevin Durant, Nets owner Joe Tsai, and their GM Sean Marks were reportedly all involved on the decision of what to do with Kyrie. Now, the specifics of that weren't revealed, but I imagine they had some sort of meeting, a discussion about what to do, what decision to make. And personally, I really respect that Sean Marks, the GM of the Nets, brought in his star players, Harden and Durant, to help make the call, because this is such a unique situation. And I know people have takes left, right, and center, but we really don't know what's going on. So to involve everybody, I think that's the best for the rest of the organization. But obviously, the decision they came on, I'll show you the comment once again. Respecting Kyrie's personal choice, says Marks and the Nets, but they don't want someone who's going to be a part-time player, and I totally get that. Like, even if it was for another reason, not just this hot button vaccine COVID-19 issue, if Kyrie was doing something amazing like becoming a doctor or something, I have no idea, it would still be so tough to manage the ego and manage the personalities. Having a guy only playing and practicing, you know, half the time, that's kind of unprecedented, at least to my knowledge. Now, where do we go from here? So at this current moment, as I'm recording this video, things might change by the time I post it. Kyrie Irving will not be playing for the Brooklyn Nets this year, and reportedly, people did the math, you know, my math isn't quite there, but reportedly Kyrie stands to lose about $380,000 for each game he misses. I did the math, and that extrapolates out to probably at least 16 million on the season. Kyrie might lose $16 million this season if he doesn't get vaccinated, which is just, I mean, it's his choice, but that is wild to me. Now, in my humbled opinion, I think there's three options for the Nets from their perspective with what to do to Kyrie here. I would say the first option is to trade him to basically any team in the NBA. Like I mentioned, other than the Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets and the Golden State Warriors, I believe, to my knowledge, he would be able to play full-time or basically full-time with any other organization. So, you know, the Nets could seek out a trade to send him to, like, I don't know, the Charlotte Hornets to play alongside LaMelo Ball. That wouldn't really make sense, but you get my point. Like, Kyrie is still a superstar. If he's committed to playing somewhere else and you can get a team to believe that, I mean, I'm sure he'd still have some value, and the Nets can make sure they're not losing a really good asset for potentially nothing. Option number two, in my opinion, would be to trade him straight up for Ben Simmons, all right? The other hot button news item right now in the NBA, Ben Simmons and the 76ers. Hey, he showed up in Philadelphia, apparently. Nobody knew he was coming, but Ben showed up. And both these players, obviously right now, for different reasons, big distractions to their teams. I'm not necessarily blaming the player. I'm not blaming Ben Simmons. I'm kind of blaming Kyrie, but both are huge distractions, so I've seen it floated out there. Why not just trade them for each other? And low-key, I'm kind of buying into the idea that that would work. I mean, on the basketball court, Kyrie playing with Joel Embiid and a bunch of shooters in Philly, that makes so much more sense than Ben Simmons. I think it makes them so much better offensively. And on the flip side, Ben Simmons brings the Nets an element they don't have, which is defense. Like, it kind of, on paper, it does kind of make sense, but the logistics of moving on with the contracts and getting Kyrie to commit to Philly, I don't know if that's going to happen, but it definitely is an option. And the third option with what the Nets can do for Kyrie is they can just wait this out. This is something that I haven't seen a lot of people talking about. It's my hot take, I guess. But as we know, guys, with COVID, with everything going on, we know basically nothing, right? Like, guys, 1 year ago, basically today, like maybe a week ago, the LA Lakers were winning a championship in the NBA bubble. That was literally 1 year ago. In that time since then, we've had the Bucks win a championship. We've had fans start getting back into stands. Our life is slowly getting back to normal. COVID is still present, unfortunately, but my point, by the time April or May rolls around when the NBA playoffs next start, will the rules and regulations in New York City and across America, will they still be the same as they are today on October 12th? I'm not a doctor or scientist, but I would bet that would be a no. Like, it probably won't be. There will probably be different rules and regulations by that time. So if the Nets are cool with Kyrie just sitting out, and if that's what Kyrie decides, by playoff time, what if the vaccine rules are different, the regulations are different in New York, and Kyrie could play? They would have a fully rested superstar point guard fresh for the playoffs. Like that, I actually think that's a legitimate option, and I don't think the Nets have to trade him. Now, an update to this story that came in just before I started recording. Stephen A. Smith, take it with a grain of salt. My guy says a lot of stuff, but reportedly, according to Stephen A., the Nets are disgusted with Kyrie and would just give him away at this point. So that makes me think they probably won't just wait him out like I just suggested, but hey, it is an option. As for Kyrie individually, he's got a few options too. He could demand a trade to somewhere like Philadelphia or anywhere where he doesn't technically have to be vaccinated. He could put the pressure on Brooklyn, which I don't think he has done at this point. He could simply sit out and forfeit his salary. Kyrie is a very independent. He's a different dude, bro. Like he could, I could see him doing that, like 15 mil to prove a point. I think Kyrie might do that. And the other two options, he could retire from the league just for a bit or forever. Kyrie could retire or he could get the shot. I'm not saying which he should do, it's his choice, but he could just get the shot and this would all be over. Now, the last thing I'll say about all this, it's a wild story. The Brooklyn Nets might be without Kyrie Irving for the entire NBA season. And guess what? That's not even that big a deal, which is just wild to think about. Remember when Kyrie left Cleveland and then he left Boston? It kind of really hurt both those teams. Like the Cavs still went to the finals because of LeBron, but they weren't really a contender. The Celtics, if they had him with Brown and Tatum, if Kyrie sits out this season for the Nets, I still personally think they're the favorites to win the East, which is just amazing. And it speaks to how talented the team is. Obviously, you still got James Harden, Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin, Paul Millsap, Bruce Brown, Patty Mills, LaMarcus Aldridge, Joe Harris. The list goes on and on. My point is, yeah, the Nets are very, very loaded. Would they want want to have Kyrie? Obviously, yes, but if they don't get him back, the Nets will be okay. I can maybe see them moving on from Kyrie just to eliminate the drama and just focus on the great core, the great team they have here. Anyways, I'm sure over the next few days, weeks, we'll get more and more info. I would be shocked, even though I suggested it, I would be shocked if they just let Kyrie sit and don't do anything, even though that's an option as I outlined. I just don't really see that coming to fruition. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video or found it informative, then drop a like down below. If you're still watching this, hearing this message, leave me a comment too. All right, y'all.